episode of Canucks News and Rumours. We have a trade deadline edition this time. I'm Jacob Billington, joined by Matthew Zator. How you doing, Matthew?
I'm doing good, as much as you can be with how the Canucks are right now. It was resolved that they're going to be sellers. They're last in the league by a lot, pretty much guaranteed the best odds of the first overall pick. Now it's just gaining assets and stuff like that in the next few days. Hopefully they can do some of that.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure through the Canucks lens that you have, you're hoping that there's a lot of trades that happen sooner than later. Hopefully, as we record this on Tuesday night, this isn't outdated by the time it's uploaded Wednesday morning. But here we are with just a couple days left, where you can almost start counting down the hours before the deadline now. So, I mean, first question, who are the Canucks going to deal? Who's going to be leaving Vancouver? Who's going to be in a new home? What do you think?
Well, I mean, there's just so many rumors that have been out there, and it's been like not just the last couple weeks, like months, since they said that they are rebuilding. And I mean, there's been multiple times that Alvin and Rutherford have said the word that everyone was kind of thinking that they might, it was like a swear word in it was a curse word in their vocabulary, but they've resolved the fact of that. But actions are, it's lip service right now. They haven't done really anything to further a rebuild yet. They traded Sherwood. That was a given. He was going to be a UFA. They got a pretty good return. That was their first move out of it, 2 second-round picks. That's a great return for Sherwood, and it looks like the Sharks might be trading him before the deadline too. And who knows? Maybe they'll get something better. I don't know. Everyone's kind of worried that the Sharks will flip them and get something better than what they got, but whatever.
I mean, even if they do, I think you still have to be happy with getting 2 second-round picks for a guy you just signed for nothing.
100%. That's the only real big move they've made. I mean, Quinn Hughes, obviously, that's a massive move. But that was, I think, it wasn't something that they were planning as a rebuild move. It was, now they are rebuilding because they did that. It's a big thing. And I mean, the assets they got there was great. It was a great trade. But you're looking at other guys that have been in the rumors. Tyler Myers, they're still waiting on his thing. I won't go too much because we're going to go further into it. But I think the UFAs are guys that are definitely going to be traded. You at the end of the deadline, if they're not traded, that's a fail. I mean, you got to trade at least them. The term guys are going to be a little more interesting, and we'll dive into that. But I think the UFAs are going to be the ones for sure. Beyond that, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, I like what they have in the AHL too, because they have so many guys that maybe they're not going to be superstars, but they have enough players that are like ready for an NHL role, and so they can afford to move out a guy for just a draft pick, and they have somebody to come in and fill that role. So the Canucks, not many would say they're in a great position right now, but in that sense, I would say that they're in a pretty strong position, because I mean, looking in the AHL. You could call upon Aramaki, of course. You could go to some veterans like Mackenzie McCackern or Arshdeep Baines. Like they have some guys. Lucas Reichel, he's buried in the AHL right now. Couple options. But we can move right into the unrestricted free agents. So there's a handful that they have. Let's start with Evander Kane. What do you think is going to happen with Evander Kane?
I mean, there's been a lot of rumors around him. There's 3 teams that it seems like that have been massively in rumors. Is the Dallas Stars? It seems like they're in on a couple Canucks. I'm not sure if that's going to be. I mean, Tampa Bay Lightning, I think, was another one that Kane has been rumored to. The Kings were earlier on. That was before Panarin was acquired. I don't think they're in on him anymore. But I mean, they have had some injuries since then. So who knows? But I think they're probably going for bigger fish. I think Kane is going to be traded. It's just what's the question is what are the Canucks going to get for him? It seems like holding out for there were talk about a 2nd-round pick. Don't think that's not going to happen. 3rd or a 4th, maybe. They're talking about retaining. They're willing to retain salary on him as well. He's a playoff guy. I'd be really surprised he's not traded, because if he isn't, that means the Canucks were just like, well, we didn't get what we want for him. that's dumb. I mean, you can't
Then
be,
he's just gonna walk in the free agent. Like he's not coming back.
Like you've got to get something for him for sure. And he's scoring right now. I mean, he's the only guy that seems to be scoring. He scored in the last game. He's starting to produce. So maybe this is the right time to trade him. They're running out of time. I think he will be traded. David Kampf, not really sure if he's going to be a guy that he could be a good third, fourth line option for a playoff team, but the Maple Leafs tried to trade him and he wasn't. I don't think he's increased his value for what he's done with the Canucks. I mean, so I don't know about him. But Kane for sure, I think, is a guy that they have to trade. I mean, the other guys they might not be able to get some bites on, but Kane's a guy that if you don't trade him, it's already a fail there.
Yeah, I mean, I look at David Kampf. His contract is half of what it was, or even less, I think. I don't remember exactly. I think it was 2.2, so is this half of what it was? He's at 1, but whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the Canucks would be willing to retain on him too, I'm sure. Like if you're going to bring in a 13th forward for $600,000, $550,000, that's enticing. Whether it's a 6th round pick or whatever it is, like that's an asset. There's plenty of 6th round picks around the league. What about Teddy Blueger? Do you think he sticks around or do you think he goes?
Well, he said that he wants to stay. He wants to be a Canuck, but he's a UFA. I think I don't know how many times this has actually happened where you trade a guy, get the pick, then he signs in free agency with you. It has happened a couple times with teams. I mean, everyone thought Luke Schenn was going to do that with the Canucks where he got traded to, I believe it was the Maple Leafs. And they said that, he'll come back in free agency. He didn't. He signed with the Predators. So it's like, I don't know if Blueger says he likes being part of the team. He wants to be part of the solution, not in the rebuild and be one of those veterans that stick around, to be a mentor for the guys. And I do agree. I think he'd be a good piece for that. But at the same time, he's a free agent going to be coming here. He could fetch a good pick because he's a guy that playoff teams need. Great penalty killer, great on faceoffs. He's a guy that can make a difference in the postseason, and he's got experience there. He won a cup with the Golden Knights. He wasn't a big part of it, but I think he would be a really good asset for teams in the playoffs. So, do you want to not get something for him and hope that, he will re-sign in free agency? I don't think that's a gamble you want to take. I think you do try to trade him.
Yeah, and I mean, going into what looks like might be a very dark rebuild. I mean, they did get a good start with the Quinn Hughes trade, so it could be like a quicker turnaround than say like the Red Wings have been going through or the Senators went through. Could be a bit quicker than that, but you do need guys that want to play for your team, not just the leftovers in free agency and whatnot. So, that's it for UFAs on the front for the forward group. On defense, Derek Forbort, he's not going to get moved. He's not officially done for the season, but he seems to be done for the season. And Pierre-Olivier Joseph, he's actually an RFA coming up this year, I believe, but he's injured now as well. Doesn't look like he's going to get moved before the deadline. So that is it for UFAs. You'd like to have a bigger list than that for a team in the Canucks position heading in. But in terms of players with some term, they have lots. So starting on defense, not actually a lot of options. So you look at Philip Hronek and Marcus Pettersson. They're the two veterans that are locked in long-term. And neither of them are going anywhere. Hronek is probably the next captain. I don't know if you would agree with that, but and Marcus Pettersson, he just signed. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. They might get some calls on him and they might think about it, but odds are he's sticking around. And then the rest of their defense is young guys. So like Zeev Buium, Tom Villander, and Elias Pettersson, the defenseman. And that leaves Tyler Myers. He's the only defenseman that is probably going to get traded. He makes $3 million this year and next. Rumor is a 2nd round pick is on the table from Detroit. He seems to be interested in going to Dallas. He's got a full no move clause. It's completely up to him. Where do you think that puts the team with Tyler Myers?
Well, I mean, I was actually really surprised that he was a guy that, was the first one that could be traded out of all this out here. And I think what it was is that, the Red Wings go and approach management and says, well, we'll give you a second round pick for him. They're like, oh, well, that's actually a really good return. So that made them, we're going to approach him to waive his no move. I mean, the fact that it hasn't happened yet, I feel it's not going to happen. Because if Myers was okay with going to Detroit, he would have already waived and said, fine, I'm going there. I mean, it seems like he's waiting on, the Dallas Stars because you got the family ties there. His mom lives in Texas there. I feel like that's probably the team that would have to step up to make a deal. But I mean, it's not off the table, like they said. I mean, I think it was Chris Johnston that said that it's still something that they're talking about, is that it's not completely done. And the fact that he keeps being sat out, he's not playing again in their next game against the Hurricanes. So it's they don't want to get him hurt. I mean, that's a given. Of course, he hasn't played in the last since this offer was made. I feel like if it is going to be done, it's going to have to be the Dallas Stars. I don't think he's waiting for Detroit. It's just, like I said, if it was something, it would have already happened.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, Steve Yzerman might have taken that offer off the table, just because he's got other business to do. He's looking to do more. So it might have been. We've heard Monday was a deadline yesterday as we're recording this. So maybe at that point, Yzerman was like, you know what, we got to move on. We got to look for some other guys. That's off the table. So who knows? That kind of stuff might never come out. Might come out the day after the deadline. You never know. That's kind of a crapshoot. So. Looking at the forward group, there's plenty more options. Let's start with Connor Garland. So as we record this right now, he's the biggest concern for this episode being outdated.
Yeah.
So Stefan Rosner reported that the Islanders are talking to Vancouver and are serious about getting Connor Garland, and feels like a deal could be happening tonight, maybe tomorrow. Who knows? It might fall through. What are your thoughts on trading Connor Garland? He's got a 6-year extension, $6 million. He seemed to be a guy that, like Hronek, could have been the next captain. Like he is a Canuck, and he kind of fit in really, really well. What's your expectations with Connor Garland this week?
Yeah, I mean, there's many episodes you can go back to that I've talked about Connor Garland, how much I love him and how much I like him as a player. But the fact is, he seems to be a different type of player since Quinn Hughes was traded. He did come out after that he was disappointed that Hughes was dealt, and that he signed this extension with Hughes still here. So it's like, does he really want to be here? I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of people saying that his passion has kind of dropped off since Hughes was gone, or was traded to Minnesota. So I feel that he would be a guy that would be traded. He doesn't have to waive anything. He has no trade protection right now. And that's the thing. I mean, everyone's saying, well, if you're trading Garland, you do it now so you don't have to ask him, do you want to go here? It's until that July 1st kicks in, he's got the no move in his contract. So if you wait until then, you're basically, it's going to be just like with Tyler Myers. It's only certain teams you're going to be going with. So the fact that the Islanders have kind of stepped in here, and I don't know, there's been rumors about what the return could be, that Stefan Rosner said that they could get him for something, not a first round pick. It could be a second and a prospect. And I don't know about that return. I would love a first round pick for Garland if you're trading him. A second, I think, is not enough for what he is. This year, he hasn't been that productive, as he has on pace to have his worst offensive season since his rookie season. So I don't know. I think I would love a first rounder. I don't know if that's going to be something that they'll get for him. A second and a solid prospect would be fine. But I think, unfortunately, as much as I love him, I think he's a guy that would probably, out of all these guys that's been talked about, is going to be traded.
So the good thing about if the deal with the Islanders is coming up, a second round pick isn't so hard to swallow if you're getting one of their top prospects, and they have a lot of them. Yeah. So obviously behind Matthew Schaefer, he's one of the most untouchable players in the league right Like they've got Callum Ritchie, they've got Kayshawn Aitchison, they've got Cole Iserman, Victor Eklund, Danny Nelson's pretty good. Like they got a lot of guys that they could afford to throw it away for a guy like Garland, who's gonna fit in the middle six, but like be a high end middle six winger for them. And they could use something like that, like his speed and his like his hard gritty play. So yeah, a second round pick and one of those guys is certainly swallowable. But yeah, so.
He also played. I don't know how much he played with Horvat when he was here, but I mean, there's the connection there. So yeah.
So that's the most. That's the one with the most heat behind it right now. But looking at the last almost 2 years now, Elias Pettersson has had a lot of heat behind his name. Not behind his shot though. He hasn't been very effective. Offensively. His two-way game has gotten much better this season, and his effort seems to be there more than it was last season. $11.6 million for the next 6 seasons. That's tough to trade, and they don't want to retain. Why would you want to retain on that?
No.
You don't want to lock yourself in. We saw San Jose retain some money on Erik Karlsson. Could see that retain 1.6, bring it down to an even 10. That's a little easier to swallow, but what do you think happens with Elias Pettersson? Is he going to stick around, or is he done?
Again, this is a thing that's been talked about. It's been a long time. Even before his extension, there was talk about him being traded. So, I mean, he has not been good. It's now been officially 2 seasons since that extension was signed. And his production's just gone to the tank. I mean, for a guy that you thought was going to become, a superstar 100-point guy, perennial 100-point player, has become a 40 to 50 point, if you're lucky, player. And that's not what they were thinking they were going to get when they signed him to 11.6. Everyone's saying that's management's fault signing him to that. Thing is, that's what he was worth. I mean, when you're looking at every GM was probably signing that contract for him. And it's not like something he's going to say no to. He's like, yeah, sure. 11.6. I'll take that. Yeah. But I mean, the thing is I feel like you could have a whole episode on Pettersson. I just don't know what's happened to him. It's just, it doesn't seem like he's the same type of player anymore. He wasn't the fastest guy to begin with, but his edge work, he could deke around guys. I have not seen that for, I'd say 2 seasons or even more. He's become a great two-way bottom 6 center. I mean, that's fine if you're not paying 11.6 and you've seen a Pettersson that can score 100 points. But there's teams that seem to think that he can turn things around. And that's why there's been rumors that, teams like, the Kings have been kind of rumored around him. I don't know what a return would look like. It's according to Elliot Friedman that's been quiet around Pettersson right now. Even though there has been rumors that it's kind of ramped up. I believe Elliot Friedman, he's pretty plugged in. So I'm going to believe him over other guys. Yeah. So I think it is quiet right now around him. I feel like if there's a deal could be done with him, it's in the offseason. And I mean, he's got the no move clause as well. That's why people are saying, if you're trading him, you better do it before that extension kicks in. And well, it kicked in. Or no, not extension kick. It was the first year or second year of his contract it was where that no move started, which was this past summer. So now he's got that protection. So you're going to have him waive that, which is another wrinkle into it. I don't know. I think it's something that's in the offseason. What the Canucks get for him is another story. I'm not really sure. You'd hope that it's a first round pick and plus, but is that value there for him? I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, that the centerpiece of the return is going to have to be a cap dump for any team doing it. Like you look at Carolina, they are linked. It's going to have to be Jesperi Kotkaniemi coming back, and he's not going to fill the role that you hoped Pettersson would. He's not going to be a huge part of the future. He just makes enough money that it makes sense to move him back. Yeah. And that's going to be the return of most deals. Like you might get a pick and a prospect in there too. To what value, I don't know. But yeah, a big part of that is going to have to be the cap dump.
Yeah. It's just tough. I mean, everyone's worried that, oh, you trade him, he's going to turn it around, become the 100-point Pettersson again somewhere else. Yeah, he might. But is he going to do it here? I really feel like you're just waiting around, and then the value drops to nothing, and you do try to trade him, and now you're stuck with maybe nothing. I mean, you may even be talking about a buyout. There's been talk about that you're going to buy out Pettersson in a few years. I don't know. If you're trading him, you're doing it now. You can't wait until I keep hoping that he's just going to come back to that guy.
Yeah, I mean, if he does floor, like if he gets traded to Carolina and he does well, good for him.
Yeah.
Here in Vancouver, he's just the third line center for $11.6 million. That cap flexibility is just as more valuable than he was to your team at this point. So, yeah. So Jake DeBrusk, recent signing, free agency, big splash. He is open to a deal if it makes sense. He hasn't looked fantastic in Vancouver. I thought the fit would be great. I honestly thought him and Pettersson would work really well together, and maybe both of them would have great seasons. Obviously not the case. What do you think is going to happen with Jake DeBrusk this week? There's been some interest. He's a good winger. What do you think?
Well, again, here's a guy that's come out and says he doesn't want. There's been the room that he waived for the right fit. Again, another guy with trade protection. There's all these it seems like every guy that they're going to want to trade have trade protection. So it kind of really restricts where you're going to take him, right? So, but he's come out and said I believe it was just before the game yesterday or today, where he said that he wants to be part of this, and he signed that deal knowing that it was a long-term deal. Yes, the Canucks were a good team when he signed it, and they were just coming off that playoff run. So, he wasn't really thinking, oh, I'm going to be part of a rebuild, but he has come out and said that he wants to be part of this. But there's always the fact that that's open. The door's open. That's not coming out of nowhere, that he's no one's making this up. He probably would be open to trading somewhere. But the fact that he comes out and says he wants to be in Vancouver, I think there's a guy that you want to keep. But again, the money for what he's doing, he's a streaky guy. When he came in, everyone was going to know that. But he hasn't really fit with anyone on the Canucks yet. And maybe it's a guy that's going to be coming, a young guy that's going to be drafted. I don't know. But I think he's not traded. I think he's one guy that, again, term. Yes, interest, and the Bruins were in there. I don't know if he's going to want to go back to Boston.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's the guy that's probably going to stick. Won't be traded, but of course they're taking calls on.
So unlike a couple of the other guys, Brock Boeser signed his extension fully knowing where the Canucks were.
Yeah.
So he's a bit of a different situation. He committed to the Canucks. He knew that they weren't headed in a great direction in the offseason. But he still stuck around, and maybe the offers he wanted in free agency weren't going to be there. But Boeser signed, and he's got a $7.25 million cap hit for 7 seasons. Do you think that there's any chance he goes, or do you put him in the same boat and say, listen, he chose that he wanted to be here. I think we keep him around because he's a quality piece.
Yeah. I was really interested. It was interesting that Darren Dredger said that that his name's out there, that he'd be willing to get traded, willing to waive his no trade for the right situation. There's that word again, right? Right situation for his family and stuff like that. And then he comes out with the media. They asked him about it, and he's like, well, I don't know where, I haven't heard that. But I guess it's not a trade deadline without my name in there. So, it's true, but where did that come from? Again, Dredger's a pretty connected guy. He's usually pretty right on these things. So if he's heard his name out there as something, he probably is. And and the Bruins are another team that seems to be involved. Garland has been involved in that with the Bruins as well. So it'd be interesting because there's a couple former Canucks on the Bruins that not long term, but Elias Lindholm, Zadorov. So I don't know. I think as a guy that Boeser's probably going to stick around. It'd be very interesting to see him traded right after he signs that long-term deal in Vancouver. But again, his name's out there, so you never know.
Yeah, so there's a couple bottom six guys who could be moved as well. So we'll start with Drew O'Connor. What's his trade protection? I think 16 team, 12 team, no trade clause, and makes $2.5 million this season and next. He would be a really attractive piece. He's had a pretty decent season. I think it would make the most sense for the Canucks to move him and get a good return. Are you in the same boat?
I agree. I mean, I think he's one guy that I liked it that they signed him to the extension. I thought he was a good middle six guy. I mean, this was before the Canucks were like, oh, for sure, they're a bad team. They're going to be rebuilding. But now that they are rebuilding, I think that's a guy you trade. He's not part of he's not on a long-term contract, so it's easily it's a tradable contract. Teams would be like, oh, sure, that's a pretty good cap hit, especially he has another year on his contract too, so he's not a rental for whoever's getting him, and he's a playoff type, player that you'd love to have in the playoffs. He's great penalty killer. Has the speed. He's good on the forecheck. He can score goals. I mean, he's looking like he's gonna get close to his career high this season, and he's leading the team in goals right now. Now that Sherwood is gone, so I feel like that's a guy that, of course, they are actually taking calls on. Apparently, the last couple of days they've been some rumors that they're discussing him with some teams. So who knows? I think he's definitely that type of deadline piece that gets moved.
Yeah. He is we just saw right before we started recording, Michael McCarron got traded to Minnesota for a second round pick. I don't see a reason that you can't say that Drew O'Connor is worth less than Michael McCarron. Yeah. So if that kind of offer's on the table, then absolutely the Canucks should be taking something like that.
Yeah.
I got three more names for you, and I'm going to just throw them at you all together. Niels Höglander, Linus Karlsson, and Max Sasson. Do you think any of them get moved?
No, I think all three of those guys are part of what they'll be looking at in a rebuild. I mean, we talked about Karlsson in the past. I mean, I think he's on the older side for quote unquote prospect young player. But I think he's part of that where you're looking at the 25, that range of players. I think he fits in. Sasson, I think on a good team, he's that great third, fourth line guy. I think he's part of it as well. I'm pretty sure. I mean, Höglander is an interesting one because he still hasn't scored a goal this season. He was out for a long time, but he's been back for a bit and he still hasn't been able to find the back of the net. And he's on that contract is starting to become a bit of an issue if he's not going to start producing. So he might be a guy that I think might move and he's in a good age range for this rebuild as well, but not the money. So, if a team offers something, I think you have to look at it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So went through a lot of the players, a lot of things could happen. What would you consider a successful trade deadline for the Vancouver Canucks?
All the UFAs getting traded. I mean, that's the minimum. I mean, if one of them is still on the team after this, there's something wrong. I mean, you get a pick at least. I mean, if a team offers you a 6th round pick, take it, get out of here. I mean, that's now if no one's offering them, obviously, I mean, you're not going to be able to trade them. So you do need a dance partner, as you say. So, I mean, I think for sure Vander Kane has to be traded. David Kampf, I mean, that could go either way. I don't know if teams are really interested. I haven't heard a ton of noise around him. Bluger, I have heard things. So I think Bluger and Kane getting traded, that's a successful deadline. The guys with term, I mean, Garland looks like the most likely to be traded, and Myers, of course, because they're, all the things with, the two teams. I don't know. Like, if he doesn't get traded, it's because, the team that he wants to go to never offered anything. So that could be it. I don't think if he's still on the Canucks after 3 p.m. or noon here, I guess, that's not a failure. It's just the fact that he just didn't want to leave. I mean, that's just what it is. And Garland and all these other guys, I think might be guys you go and trade in the offseason. Unless, I mean, obviously if a team gives you a pretty good, offer, then yes, you do trade them now. But I don't know how much of this will happen, like especially with Pettersson. I think that's something that's not going to happen now. So if he's not traded before the deadline, it is not something that, management's failing at this rebuild. I don't think it's not a be all end all that the rebuild is starting off on a bad foot if none of these guys are traded at the deadline. But definitely the UFAs, I think that's a success if those guys are on other teams by the end of it.
Fair enough. So if Patrick Alvin and Rutherford go into the deadline, and like you look at the St. Louis Blues, and it looks like they could trade Jordan Kyrou, Robert Thomas, Justin Falk, and Jordan Bennington. Like those are huge names.
Yeah.
Would you want to see the Canucks do that?
Well, I mean, I think if they do, that's highly successful because, you get a bunch because you'd hope that you're getting first round picks, second round picks, prospects. You can really accelerate that rebuild pretty quickly, especially when you're coming into a draft and you've got like 3 or 4 first rounders coming in. That'd be like beyond the moon. I'd be happy if they were able to trade a few of these big guys. I just don't know how realistic that is at this point because it might ramp up in the next couple of days, but the fact that it's gone quiet on Pettersson, like Kane is just starting to kind of go a bit. I mean, he's the UFA there, but then guys like Besser and Garland have started to become in the trade rumors a bit. So I mean, it might change, but I just feel like it's just not realistic at this point. I would be highly surprised and happily surprised if any of that does happen. Fair
enough. So, Matthew, thank you for joining me. Talking about the Canucks deadline, we covered pretty well everything that we could. And after the deadline, we'll do kind of a follow-up episode and see what your thoughts are on all the deals that were made. But in the meantime, make sure to check out the Hockey Writers YouTube channel for any new content. And go to the website, thehockeywriters.com, for all the latest trade deadline content. And we will see you on the next episode.